Yeah. Hey, good morning, everyone. Get started here, 8:34. Wow, I'm just reading Michael Diamond's article here. Everyone's here. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Town of Canaan Board of Selectmen for Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. This is a hybrid meeting. Anybody on? We don't have anybody remotely for the agenda. First item on our agenda is the minutes from the last meeting. Any comments or corrections? I don't have my tablet. Did you get someone get my tablet? It's on the back of my credenza. No.
I can move in. I move to amend the agenda to add an additional agenda item. National First Responders Day, approval of a joint request by all first responders to declare October 28th, 2022 as National First Responders Day in the town of New Canaan.
Second, and we will add that before the end of the meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Again, the minutes, any comments or corrections?
Nope, none.
That's for the minutes held on October 4th, 2022.
I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on October
Second here.
4th, 2022. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Public comments, members of the public. I don't see anybody from the public here today, other than Jean. Everyone else works for the town. Members of the public are invited to provide comments on the agenda topic scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to the following email address, bosdistribution@newcanasct.gov, and we'll read them before the end of the meeting. And there's no one on for public on the Zoom. Okay, New Canaan Rink. I guess that's why Jean is here. And who else is? Thank you very much. Who's presenting? Ann?
Morning. Morning. So back in March, the state authorized bonding for the ice rink specifically for New Canaan, and it was approved. Tom O'Day had gone and got those funds for the rink. So it needs to go through the town because it's a grant that's given to the town. We need the resolution. This is a resolution that the state requires that's on record, so that any and all contracts that come in front of Kevin, that he has the authority to do this and they need this for their records. A little bit different than normal grants where you spend it reimbursement. This is the chunk, we get it. And they have this specific resolution that they want on the books. So we're looking to get the approval from this board and read the resolution for those reasons.
Could I ask Mr. O'Day, someone O'Day to come up and talk about how we got the money?
How we what?
Got the money. Because it's a lot of money.
It was a labor of love. Jean and I don't skate. In fact, last time Jean was on,
We're talking about what I used to refer to as the Tom O'Day Memorial skating rink.
it is the Boucher Memorial Rink.
Now it is, but I mean,
rink.
you talk about labor of love. We're talking about how many years?
So we started trying to get this in 2005.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Jean revived it quite heartily and did a great job in getting it going. And the last time Jean was on skates, he ended up having to get stitches in his head.
Oh, dear.
And I haven't skated in probably 30 or 40 years. My kids don't skate, but this is something that it started in 2005 when Scott Webster's brought his kids into our basketball game, a 5th grade basketball game, in their hockey gear. And I said, Scott, this is basketball. Your kids are dressed inappropriately. And he left. He goes, well, we just got back from driving up to Monroe for skate time. So that's when it started. And then the state doesn't give New Canaan money very often, but we, in talking with the speaker and governor's office, they gave us a $200,000 with really a very little restriction. And so it's taken a little while to connect the dots, but I think we're ready to take it. And I think it's good for the town because now you know there won't be any money owed that the town is going to be responsible for, because you're in control of that money. And we'll request it. And I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Do those funds go into some sort of endowment or fund that are used, or what is it going to be used for?
It'll go into our grant fund.
Okay.
So as they expend it, we would reimburse them for any
I see.
expenditures that they need or pay the
Okay.
bills for them on their behalf.
Okay. So it'd be more for operating income going forward.
Yes.
Okay. Or operating expenses.
And how long will
Capital as
that
well.
last? I'm sorry,
It could
Jimmy.
be capital as well.
Could be capital. as
Could be
well.
capital as well.
Yes.
But that $200,000 will get us as a town to when in terms of
It'll get us through this season
I'm
and
I'm li-
and partially into next season as well.
I'm pretty optimistic that without any debt, which we're not going to have, that the operational expenses or operational income will cover our operational expenses. So I'm hopeful this is going to last even longer than that. I foresee this being to cover like electricity, some odd expenses that come through that we'll request that we can't otherwise cover with operational revenue. But we are selling passes, kind of like the pool model. And so I'm very confident that whatever monies we need, we can either raise privately or cover in our operational income. And this will be somewhat of a buffer for us for the first year and then going forward.
Well, this is terrific. I mean, this is like a dream that you guys had come true 20 years later, and it's amazing. And it's what a delight for the town of Canaan. Thank you.
I would like to say that there's a lot more people involved.
You can name names.
Right. But so Rita Bettino, Kara Smith, we got Sarah Artestia,
Scott Rowe.
Scott Rowe, Jake Granito, Tom Sanseverino. I know I'm going to forget somebody. I feel bad.
Chris Sig has recently joined our effort.
So there's a lot of people behind the scenes that, but for them, wouldn't have happened. And Gene and I just kind of gave a push and got some money from Hartford. So thank you all.
Just one more question. So this was a great report, actually, with lists all of the funding that's coming from Hartford to different towns and so forth. And just above was also for a skating rink in Stamford for $1 million. And I was just curious, did we ask for the 200 or was it another amount and we got 200?
So we had it asked for a little more. The bonding amounts that you're given, you're pigeoned in. And I was told that this is a better number to kind of push for getting the votes to approve it.
Okay.
So I basically asked for as much as they'd give us.
Okay.
This was recommended this number would be able to sail through.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, with that, thank you, Tom and Jean and all the volunteers who are making this operate as a community nonprofit business. Which
Boucher Community Ranch.
Tony Boucher, yes. Let's thank again for the great generous donation from Tony Boucher in honor of her late husband. So I move that we approve this resolution regarding the state of Connecticut grant in aid for $200,000 for a nonprofit skating rink in Waveney Park, as described by Tom and Jean. And I'll dispense with the reading of the resolution, but we'll insert that in the minutes.
Second here.
Further discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Andrew, are you here for the Canaan vehicle accessories?
Morning.
Morning, Andrew.
We're here today to seek approval for going into contract with Specialty Warning Systems for $10,149.48 to equip one of our existing vehicles that's all-wheel drive, one of our Ford Interceptors with Canaan components. Just the basic components we would need to get a Canaan into that vehicle for the program. Any questions?
Any questions?
Did we once have a canine vehicle?
We do. It's an old Crown Victoria with well over 100,000 miles on it. And the components it has now are basically failing, and it's antiquated, and they don't make the parts for it anymore. So we need to replace the parts anyway. So we're going to use a vehicle that's going to last longer. So it's got about 45,000 miles on it. So it'll last for another 4 or 5 years.
Mhm. Okay.
And it's all-wheel drive, so it's better for the officer operating the vehicle.
Okay, great. What you're replacing it with, I saw part of the cost is taking things out of that vehicle, right?
Yes.
Are those things going to be replaced into another
Every
vehicle?
part that we can use, we would put into another vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah, some of them that are antiquated or they don't fit the existing vehicles, but
Mhm.
anything we can use, we.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions?
None here.
I move we approve the request from the police department to enter into a contract with Specialty Warning Systems in the amount of $10,149.48 for the installation of K9 equipment in a police vehicle as described by Captain Walsh. Second.
A second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Andrew, before you leave, why don't we take this moment to do our resolution? John, why don't you come up and so as we amended the agenda, we're going to declare October 28th as National First Responders Day. And in light of the events last week in Bristol, I just want to take a moment to reflect on how much Russ, thank you for joining us. And actually, Tiger, for that matter, the first responders are our policemen, our emergency management people, our public works people, our fire officers and volunteers, and also our ambulance corps, the emergency medical service. And I think it's moments like this when we see what can happen to first responders, that we really have to take a moment and thank you for the incredible service you give. You literally put your lives on the line daily in the case of police and firemen, and in the case of emergencies for our emergency people, and actually daily for our ambulance volunteers, which is an incredible force of volunteers. So I thank you for your service. And in memory of the 2 officers who lost their lives last week, let's think just for a moment about the dedicated service that our first responders give it to us. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that why you're wearing the
Yes.
black
Yeah.
over your badge? Yeah. Thank
We
you.
have a contingent that'll be going to the.
That was it. That's Friday, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Be representing the town up there.
That's great. That's great.
It's tragic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that brings us back to it's amazing the Stanford Advocate say Above the Fold has an article about our baseball dugouts. Like in an election season, they could focus on something that's insignificant in some ways as our baseball dugouts. But anyway, that's priorities for local media. Not insignificant for our New Canaan residents, but I'm not sure why Stanford and other people care about our baseball dugouts. Good morning,
Good morning.
John and Ryan. Good morning.
Hope everyone is doing well. I am Ryan Restivo and I am the Assistant Superintendent of Parks, and I will be speaking on behalf of the New Canaan Parks Department. Today, we are requesting the approval to enter into contracts with 2 vendors, Athletic Field Services and Dura Edge Products, for our fall softball and baseball field renovations. The Parks Department currently maintains 11 softball and baseball fields ranging from T-ball to adult leagues. Our main priority is to ensure safe and playable field conditions. This year, we asked 3 qualified vendors for quotes, and only Athletic Field Services were able to provide us with 1. We would like to award the repairs to Athletic Field Services of Bridgeport, Connecticut. This company has done work on our ball fields for many years, and they were able to keep their pricing in line with last year's renovations they completed. The work provided by Athletic Field Services would be a total of $50,523. The material we selected for our infield clay is from Dura Edge Products Company. We have selected to use Dura Edge Recreation Premium Infield Mix because it contains 75% sand, which is actually very beneficial for drainage and helps us maintain the ball fields and provides exceptional player safety. The total cost of shipping and materials provided by Dura Edge Products would be $26,004. The two amounts mentioned include a 10% contingency and are available and budgeted within the park's capital infrastructure budget. Thank you. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Any questions for Ryan or John?
This one, the new, is that a new product that we're putting in, the clay and the sand, or is it something that we've
We
repeated?
have used it in the past,
in the
and yes, it
Okay.
does a great job. We've got positive feedback.
Okay. Has the price changed at all from the past?
The big thing is the shipping cost has changed, but it hasn't drastically changed, and we're actually using less than we used last year because we don't need as much of the clay. So, because,
Great. Thank you.
thank you.
None there.
Clarify for me though, what the Parks and Rec did the other day was, is that baseball, New Canaan baseball donations? Or are
Yeah, what they, New Canaan Baseball came to the commission meeting and presented some ideas, some concepts before they started thinking about getting prices, that type of stuff. So that's what they mainly.
I didn't read the article in this morning's paper, but I think the headline suggests that it's something the town is doing, but it's really donations from.
It was, yes, the money would be coming from New Canaan Baseball for the projects they talked about. The commission hasn't approved them per se, like the dugouts still need a lot of work. They approved the concept is the main thing.
But they would pay for them,
They would pay, New Canaan Baseball would pay for it.
right? That's the big difference. That's what makes New Canaan special. People.
Yep.
Not only give their time, but they give their treasure to.
Yeah, actually, there's a few things that New Canaan Baseball wanted us to do in this fall baseball work, which they're willing to pay for too. So helps.
Okay, thank you, John and Ryan. I move we approve this request from Parks Department to enter into contracts with Athletic Field Services and Dura Edge Products as described by Ryan in the amounts of $50,523 and $26,004, which include 10% contingencies for the maintenance and repairs of the baseball and softball fields. So, do I have a second?
Second there.
Further discussion?
No.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tiger has two items today. Good morning, Tiger. Who pointed out to me that President Bush made Public Works
2003 presidential
first
declaration.
responders.
Well, thank you for that before.
First ones there to get roads open and
So our first item is for the repair of the monument, the Wayside Cross at God's Acre. We went out and interviewed three separate firms, Enduring Monuments, Fairfield Monument, and Rugo Stone, representatives from the Congregational Church, Chapin and Chris, Kevin and myself. And we felt that Rugo Stone was the best candidate. We asked them for a proposal to come in and in essence, they have to take the top of the monument off, lay it down, see exactly what damages might be underneath. From the doweled structure, it's the top of the cross is held onto the base by two dowels. See exactly if the dowels are bent or damaged, or the monument itself is damaged. Repair that and move the base of the monument back in place, reset it, and then reset the cross on top. They also suggested that we do a 3D digital scan and drawing file of the monument. We don't have one. And since it's nearing its 100-year anniversary, I'm certain that there wasn't one at the time. So we think it might be a good idea to have that. God forbid something happens to the monument, we could necessarily duplicate it with that. So Their proposal came in at $19,216. The scan was $7,950 for a total of $27,166. I added a 15% contingency on top of that of $4,000 for a total of $31,166. And we'll be looking for reimbursement from Kerma, our insurance carrier, since this is was part of an accident that occurred there.
So we're partnering with the church,
We've been in discussions with the church about the repair. Yeah,
right? Is it my understanding that both the church and the town have insurance coverages on the Wayside Cross?
that's what I'm told. Yes.
But this will be covered by the town insurance. This was a,
It was
Yeah.
our vehicle that struck it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
just, so Rugo Stone, they have, obviously you went through a thorough process and they've had some experience with this. Have they identified
Substantial.
substantial
Yeah.
experience?
Yeah.
Have they identified what kind of stone?
It's a travertine limestone.
It's a limestone. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So Tiger, I had heard numbers, far north of this potentially. Is that in the event that I assume they're gonna take away Cross? Is that correct? Or are they gonna leave it in place and fix it? Or-
Leave it in place and fix it. They'll come here with a crane, lift off the cross, lay it down, move the base, make sure that the dowels are okay. They might have to drill new dowel holes, and then replace the monument on top. So it'll stay here. It'll be here for its duration. They think it'll take 2 days at best to do the.
And the risk of this, crumbling or whatever is minor, is
I won't say it's minor.
material,
100 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1913, right?
23
23.
23, okay.
after World War I.
Yeah, you're right.
They're each of the contractors shared some concerns with the material itself, but overall, Rugo didn't feel that there was much risk at the time for subsequent damage or damage during repair.
So they'll pick it up, lay it down, straighten it out, put it back up.
Correct. Yeah, move the base. The base has been shifted, so they have to move that base and then reset the dowels. If the dowels are bent, they can straighten the dowels. If the dowels aren't bent and there's problems underneath.
Are we going to try and get the 1923 time capsule?
That was not part of it. No, we don't know exactly where that is. And there's a secondary base below the one base. So there's a base that's level with the ground that
Right.
has its first pedestal, so to speak. That pedestal is shifted. We have to move that pedestal back in place.
It's an underlying base that probably didn't show.
The time capsule might be underneath the one that's flush with the ground. We don't know, but we weren't looking to go excavate for that.
Will the digital scan identify that?
No, the digital scan is just of the monument itself.
I see. Okay. I just,
Basically a 3D rendering of the
Mhm.
the monument.
And just, will this be fixed before Veterans Day? What's the plan?
Their hope is to be here October 24, 25. Yeah.
Great.
It's a funny story about how I found Rugo Stone. I mean, they are really a leading firm on the East Coast. They've done most of the major projects in the nation's capital. They just finished a project at Trinity Church in New York City. They're doing a project in Bridgeport at a church, and their capabilities are enormous. So I have the ultimate confidence that, and the other funny part of this is Robert Mazzilli, who is the fellow who's met with us, grew up next door to Lou Marinelli. And he said he spent more time in Lou's house than in his own house. So there's a local connection to this firm. And so I'm confident we have this and we will have it repaired for Veterans Day. Any further questions?
No.
I also want to note, though, that Michael Dinan, who I assume is watching this or will watch the replay, published a story today. He continues to report untruths, and it just annoys me that on something such an important topic, he wouldn't check with us before he publishes continued misstatements of fact. So, and they're untrue. So, anyway, I move we approve this request Public Works to enter into a contract with Rugo Stone in the amount of $31,166, which includes a contingency of 15%.
Correct.
To repair and reset the wayside cross as described by Tiger.
I'll
Second.
Second.
Further discussion?
None here.
All in favor? Aye. Sidewalks on Gower Road.
So this next item, well, thank you for the approval of that. This next item is for, in essence, connection of sidewalks on Gower Road from South School to Southwood Drive. So on the South School side, there is no sidewalks from South School to Southwood. And any resident that's living in the Southwood Drive area and elsewhere has to cross the street to come up the sidewalk to cross the street back again. And then if you're wanting to go into town or to another school, they're asking not to travel through South School to get to the high school or get to Saks. They'd like you to stay on Gower Road and not travel through for security reasons, travel through the campus. So therefore, this sidewalk is also important just for students that need to get to Saks or to the high school as well. So we went out for design. Cabezas DeAngelis did a very nice design for us and came forward with this design. We went to Wetlands for their look on it, since there's adjacency to Wetlands as well. And we went out to bid. Peter Lonnie Incorporated came in at the low bid of $130,040.80. We had received 2 bids on the project. The second bid was from Star Construction, $261,385. I added a 15% contingency, excuse me, of $20,000 for a total of $150,040.80. And we'd like to go forward with this project. We've been we've spoken to the South School principal and the building superintendent from the school. They're well aware of the project and very much in favor of it. They understand that we'll be coming forward and constructing. We'll do it during school season, but I don't think it should be much of a detriment to anything that's happening inside the school, noise wise or anything of that nature.
Questions?
Tiger, does that, the new sidewalk, does that go on current land or does it get into the street that already exists? And is there parking along that side of
It's
the
a
street?
great question. It's basically straddling both. We're not necessarily changing the roadway. We're going into the roadway by about 1 foot to 2 feet. And then there's an embankment off the backside of that off the road as it heads down into the playground area. So we'll be building out into that area slightly. And then we'll be shifting the road slightly 1 foot towards the residents on I believe that's Orchard or Douglas, excuse me, on Douglas. So it's just shifting the road by about 1 foot and coming out to the roadway itself by about 1 foot, but we'll maintain the existing lane widths that were there specifically because of the school bus operations. So the existing lane widths will remain the same. So there shouldn't be really any change to the geometry. Like I said, it's about 1 foot to 2 feet that will be impacting the roadway.
Okay, and there's no parking along that side
There's
of
no
the street?
parking, sorry. No, there's
Right,
no parking
right.
along that area. No, hasn't been. We do get parents that come to try to park along the side. We might have to, enforce that a little bit, but
Right.
now, given the fact that there's a hard curb, we're hoping that they won't mount the hard curb onto the sidewalk. When it was just a soft shoulder, it was a lot easier to park on the grass.
Mhm.
Now we'll ask them to park elsewhere.
Any questions?
None here.
I move we approve the request from Public Works to enter into a contract with P. Villani to Inc. in the total amount of $150,004.80, which includes a contingency as described by Tiger for the installation of new sidewalks and ramps at Gower Road from South School to Southwood Drive. Second.
Second here.
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger.
This last item is from the tree warden, his latest bid of October 6th. We received 3 bids back. Hutchinson Tree Care was the low at $26,935. It's for 16 separate locations in town, one of which is in Waveney, where about 6 dead ash trees will be removed, and a sugar maple at Irwin Park near the entrance will be removed. And then we have out in front of Vine Cottage, in between Vine Cottage and the Red Cross, there's a dying Norway maple that's right along 124. It's on our property, but along the roadway that'll be removed. The others are various locations throughout town, but those were three of note.
Any replacement plans for those trees?
For any of these, no, at present. The most of them, like I said, are in the forested land, especially in Waveney. We will be putting a new oak back in conjunction with the Conservancy down at the base, down at Anderson Pond. That'll be coming from Gossett Brothers. Kevin signed that contract yesterday. You'll see that in your package next week or in the next 2 weeks. It's a little late to get it in this one. And that should happen within the next couple of weeks. We have to take out the existing stump, grind the stump, take out the existing stump, and then Gossett will come in. Hopefully within the next couple of weeks and replant that tree.
I move to approve the request from the tree warden to enter into a contract with Hutchinson Tree Service in the amount of $26,935 for the removal, pruning, and stump removal of various trees in town as described by Tiger. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiger. Good morning, Cheryl. I finally figured out why Jen is here.
What?
That we did, but
Oh, you know what? We voted to put it on the agenda, but would not vote it for, yeah.
Correct.
That's right.
Correct.
we'll do it at the end. Cheryl, good morning.
Good morning. We are here to present a couple new hires. First is Jeff Malgano. He is currently with the Board of Ed. He has been with them since 2018. Before that was with the Stanford Board of Ed. He does have his CDL. We did, actually, I should have started with this. We had 121 applicants. We interviewed 12. And Jeffrey and Justin rose right to the top during these interviews. So we did do a conference call with the Board of Ed, his boss, who highly recommends him. Jeff had come to the Board of Ed thinking that he wanted to be an inside worker and disliked it. So he is looking to get back outside. So he is the first one I would like to recommend. The next one is Justin McNamara. He is an assistant crew leader for Bright's Landscaping and also was a summer maintenance assistant, very young, right out of high school, and was a landscaper for probably about 3 years and is working on a CDL. So I would like to recommend both of them. Both Ryan and John were in the interviews. I don't know, Ryan, if you have any comments on either.
I thought everyone did an excellent job during the interviews. These two really stood out to us, and I think that they'll be a great addition to the team. So.
Questions?
Are these replacing positions that had left
Yes,
or?
and now we are fully staffed.
Right.
One of the positions is actually when Ryan was promoted.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you.
So we'll handle these two now, and then we're going to go on to Gino. I move we approve the request from Human Resources Director to hire Jeffrey Malgano and Justin McNamara as groundsman 2 in the Parks Department.
Second here.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Jen. We're matching.
Good morning, Jen.
You guess. The Bobbsey twins.
So we
think alike.
we are here to present Jean Gagnon. Jen, unfortunately, Chris resigned to go work for a town closer to his home. So we had put the ad out quickly. We received 6 applicants. Jean was the only one with the certifications that we were looking for. If you look at Jean's resume, it's quite impressive. He was the acting director of health in Richfield from 2014 to the present, also worked in Plainville. He has got his food service inspector license, subsurface sewage disposal license, and he's a lead inspector and a risk assessor. So Jen, I can turn it over to you for some comments.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Chris left to take a 4-day work week in Reading, and gonna miss him greatly. And there's a massive shortage of qualified public health workers. So we're fortunate to even get one qualified applicant, because unfortunately the state, there's a large problem. So I'm looking forward to having Gino come from Ridgefields. And he has all the certifications, all the licenses and the degree, so
Oh, that is a terrific guy. So,
he is.
so
Yes, we
That
introduced him to.
would
the
be a great
person.
addition to the staff.
It's gonna have a heck of a commute from Wolcott.
Well, it's
We
the
talked
same
about
to
it.
Ridgefield if you map quest it. I mean, in reality, all of us that work here have to commute over an hour a day. I mean, it takes me an hour and a half to 2 hours to get home on Fridays. And it's reality. That's why we're losing people right and left.
Mm.
And it's a statewide issue. We're competing against the state health department because they have hundreds of openings from all the retirements and they all work from home. And, it's a different world. We can't work from home every day. We have to do the inspections. We have to do,
Sure.
the field work. So it's hard.
Mhm.
Questions? Other questions?
Yeah, it sounds like we're lucky to get him under the existing circumstances.
Right.
So, no questions.
I move we approve the request from the Human Resources Director to hire Jean Gagnon
Gagnon.
as a registered sanitarian. And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Contracts under $10,000. Any questions?
Yes, actually, I had just a quick one for, I guess, two. When we see just small contracts for things like Bristow Sanctuary or the New Canaan Library Radius, are those part of the larger projects? And we're just identifying sort of the smaller costs, like the William Stone. We just had is that the sidewalk that we approved 2 weeks ago or?
Well, actually, yes and no. This is the William Stone one is actually the library's contractor had their granite on order. Basically a placeholder for it. When they actually released it, they said, oh, no, sorry, we already sold it to somebody else. So they came to us and asked us if we could contact our supplier, contacted our supplier, found them the material that they need. Plus, we're going to give them about 200 feet out of our stock, and then they're going to replace it for us. So in essence, it's not for the project that you just approved, but it is for the grander portion. It'll be the library side, same granite installation, but just the library side. And then they'll be replacing it in kind for us when it's all done. We were just able to facilitate finding it and
Got it.
ordering it and getting it for them.
Okay.
And then the Bristol one, which one?
Landscaping. Service entrance, the entry trail at
Oh, so that was the for Keith Simpson.
Yeah.
That was a request by the Conservation Commission and Park and Rec to beautify the entrance for coming from Mead into Bristow behind the baseball fields. There's an access road for the Parks Department, and the embankments kind of the erosion control factor we have there is starting to fail. So we actually asked for a more cohesive design. It wasn't part of the master plan, but it was identified as, now that we're spending $300,000-400,000 inside Bristow, we should try to make both entrances beautified. So that we went to the designer, Keith Simpson Associates, to take a look at that as well.
Okay.
So it wasn't part of the master plan, but in essence, it was found out because of it. And go forward. That's why it's a little separate.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else?
Nope.
Tax overpayments?
Just an operational question on the tax overpayments. Is there a way we can produce that report so it's portrait rather than landscape? Can we try that? Maybe? Yeah, give that a go. So every time I turn it, it sort of flips around. So a little hard to read.
I move we approve the tax overpayments on our tablets.
Second here.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Legal fees.
I just had a question on the legal fees. As we we're into, I think this represents, what is it? 3 months of the year. Are you feeling comfortable with where we are in terms of maybe some of these are one-time costs? Some of these are probably recurring. How do we feel about the overall annual budget versus where we are in terms of $88,000?
Budget's the budget, if the 830 Gs turn out to be more than we expected, this budget was struck back before we really
Right,
had
sure.
three 830 Gs. So,
What are we expecting in terms of legal expense for?
most of it's out in the out years, these things will go to litigation for 2 years or more. And
Okay,
most of the brief stuff will be
enough this year.
not this year. Yeah.
Okay, so you're still feeling pretty good where we are, budget wise? Or just say,
It's kind of like, all depends on what happens through the course of the year.
right?
I think.
I guess if we think we're going to exceed, do we trim back on something else or?
No, I mean, legal fees are kind of like trim back.
Overall expenses in terms of thinking about a budget going forward?
Oh, that's why we have a contingency. There's a $300,000 contingency in case we have
Okay,
misguessed any of the budgets. So,
okay,
and we rarely go into the contingency because we have always underspend the overall budget anyway. So it's
Mhm,
kind of like not a concern overall.
Okay, good.
Because, we underspent this year by. Ian, how much did we underspend this year by the town budget? $1.2 million, $2 million. Right? So we always underspend.
yeah, okay.
So, yeah. So I move we approve the legal fees on the tablets.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So I move that we approve this declaration of October 28th as National First Responders Day in the town of New Canaan, as we discussed earlier. Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Are we doing anything, a special event for that or just naming it? Sorry.
What he said.
Maybe we'll have a prayer service for Bristol officers.
Yeah.
I guess Jen has left on the COVID front. The new variants coming out of the Far East are on our radar screen. And I would reiterate that boosters and vaccinations are available from the town. You can go to the town website at any time and sign up for the Thursday clinics. The vaccine was approved for the under 5-year-old bracket. So that's on COVID. What else did I want to mention? You got the legal memo from Ira Bloom on the cell tower process. There will be a public meeting next week in this room by Planning and Zoning at 6 p.m. And for presentations by Verizon and Homeland Towers, and then questions from the P&Z Commission and from the comments from the public. So we would encourage, that's the first step of several public meetings on this.
Great. Is that the 24th? Monday?
24th. It's a special meeting. And there will be only one other item on the agenda, and we have a budget, I think, 2 hours or more for this first meeting.
So that's not on the calendar yet, but we'll put that on. Yeah.
They just decided yesterday to
Okay.
go after. Yeah. Rather than a 6-hour meeting on the 25th, the regular meeting.
Right, right.
There's just too much for one meeting. Other questions?
Yeah, with, respect to 830G, I'm in receipt of legal advice from counsel to us, and which I agree with in terms of the sequencing of
What?
830G.
You're talking about the cell tower or the?
Yeah,
Cell tower.
Cell tower and 8:30.
I'm sorry. I'm mixing metaphor.
Yeah.
The cell towers.
Um,
830G is a separate discussion, which you and I can have a discussion about, but
We're going into executive session, so
but not for purposes of,
no,
yeah.
no. I would point out that, there was really an error in the planning and zoning's adoption of the telecommunications regs in 7.8. That's why this took long to get clarification. Ira Bloom talked to Glenn Shalder, who was the consultant at the time, so we've straightened it out. And I think now that we have a clear way forward.
So with respect to that, is there a desire to amend?
Unnecessary because regardless of the what it says, there's no jurisdiction for our local P and Z on cell tower.
Shouldn't we, isn't the advice should be to amend the regulation if it doesn't?
They can decide to do that, but I don't think they, there's really two words there that were added that
Right.
could be construed to mean some other kind of tower, but to the extent it implies jurisdiction on the carrier towers, it's a nullity.
So
I-
we just leave it as is. I mean,
Well, it's not our regulation, it's P and Z's.
I understand, but
We have nothing
I
to
mean,
say. about it.
we appoint P and Z and I mean, I agree, again, I agree with the legal analysis. But I would encourage P and Z to make that amendment to make it clear that it's inapplicable to the present situation or another situation that comes up in the future.
Okay, and then do we have a new fellow here from IT? Is that why? Chris, why don't you introduce, we approved 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out who that gentleman is, but now I think I figured it out.
Did you say victim?
Is
Board
your,
of Ed victim?
is your entire staff going to stay in the executive session? Okay, so Chris Kaiser and Sal DeLucia. And I forgot your name because you're very new.
Victor.
Victor, but you've been working over at the Board of Ed.
Yes.
So now we have you on our side.
Climb the wall.
Climb the wall.
Yeah.
Anyway, why do you
He
explain?
knows all the codes.
Chris and Sal have been, we were very unhappy to lose Tim. But why don't you describe?
Yeah, 22
role.
years. We had Tim and myself had worked together, and Sal's been here for a little over 20. So it was tough to say goodbye. Since then, he's moved on. He's doing his thing, which is great. And we put out the job application for operations manager, and Victor. We had several people come in and apply, and Victor actually met a lot of the needs and the wants that we have. And we were able to pick him up, and she started yesterday. And I gotta say, in a day, I'm pretty happy with the progress already. He knows the systems because the schools, we have very similar systems. We do it in a different, in a little grander scale, and he'll pick up on that more and more as he goes. But
How long were you with the Board of Ed?
4 years.
lives in Fairfield, so he's closer than us, which is nice in case when the storms happen.
How big is the team at the Board of Ed?
There's 2 network guys and then there's about 5 IT staff, it's like 7 in total.
And you got all of your TIs.
Yeah, then there's 3, no, sorry. There's high school. So there's 6 tech integrators, 2 at Saks, 1 at the high school, and then 1 at each elementary school.
Just want to mention 5 schools, 36 buildings, 3 guys.
And the core.
Yes.
But in fairness, there's a lot of students, not teachers.
Yes, yes.
A lot of Indians.
So,
Okay,
very happy to have him.
since we're going to executive session on an IT matter, and since you guys are already here, you stay there. Who else is staying in here? I guess
Russ would like to stay as well. Russ Kimes.
Russ.
Yep.
And Cheryl.
Yes, sure, fine. Yes, sure. Yep,
Bye Tiger.
I'm okay with.
Thank
I'm
you.
okay with everything.
And Tucker and Ian, you're welcome to stay. Okay. So I would move it at 9:23 that we go into executive session. Do we have a vote? Huh? Are we?
You have a motion to go in at 9:23?
Yeah, but are we voting on something when we come out?
Yes.
it's a cybersecurity contract. The subject of the session is a cybersecurity contract for 42,214.
So I move to go into executive session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We named the vendor? Did I already do that?
Says a conflict.
Okay, we left executive session at 9:41. And I move we approve a cybersecurity contract in the amount of $42,214 as described by Chris Kaiser in executive session. Second,
Here.
further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. very
Thank
much.
you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you. Todd, and welcome, Victor.
I would just mention that the funds are coming out of ARPA, the ARPA, part of the ARPA distribution we gave to you guys.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day.
Hey, Chris.
And the meeting.
Oh,
This isn't working.
I move we adjourn
I
at
can't-
9:43.
I can't pull that.
Second.
Second, all in favor? We're adjourning.
Sure.
We're adjourned. Thank you.